What's up, jabronis? Yes, I stole that from my guest JJ from Runpure Bets, also at Twitter handle Uncle Dunkle. But today, Chris is having a good time. The beer man is having a good time for New Year's Eve. So we had to get a suitable replacement. You know what? I don't even know if Chris could replace JJ. So we'll have to see how that goes here. But my man JJ from Runpure Bets, we work together at another site with some DFS stuff. We're always talking baseball, but JJ, glad to have you. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. It's interesting. The last time I saw beer, I was completely shit-faced in Nashville. So, I guess we'll have to put a rain check on next time we sync up. But no, great dude, and glad to see you guys are doing well with what you got going here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I know, was that at the DK sports betting event or something like that? Sports betting championship? Was that what that was?
No, that was the
RG party
or Super Bowl party. One of them, yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. He mentioned he was hanging out. He's like, yeah, that's a good dude, man. He can drink some beers too. So he tries to get me drinking these crafty beers with him on Friday, man. It's like, man, what are you giving me here this time? But it's always fun hanging around the beer man. But so JJ, tell them a little bit about what you got going over at Runpure Bets. Where you guys are at, where they can find you. Now, I will tell everybody, we always have the people in life that you learn from, and I did learn from JJ. JJ's a guy that I've always listened to, so definitely give him a follow, guys. Check it out, but especially over there at the Runpure Bets. But JJ, go ahead, tell them a little bit about what you guys got going over there.
Yeah, so over at Runpure Bets, we do a ton of free video content. Our guys Spread and Tyler hook up a daily NBA rundown. They do a few NFL shows a week. Kegger on our end runs live shows weekly as well. And then, just a ton of pregame content as well. Between articles, I do a bunch of free pregame videos on our YouTube channel. It's just YouTube Runpure Bets. Just a ton of picks. We have a pick sheet. Everything's tracked. Up about 50 units since August. And again, all of it's 1U plays. I mean, we're not one of these like 5U, 10U, game of the century hammer type companies. So everything's 1U, 1.5U at the most. Very transparent with the losses. And just kind of grinding out wins, as we can each day.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. And for those of you wondering, the unit he's talking about, unit is your bet, what you normally bet, like $20, $50, $100. We always call it your, whatever it is, your 1.5 times unit, 2 units, you're going to double up and therefore. So, but to be up over 50 units, that's incredible. I know I've been following your guys, picks for quite some time. I definitely enjoy it. Like if I'm not sure, you guys are always accessible. I can ask whoever, if I'm not quite sure about something, but always, I'll tell anybody in sports gambling, DFS, the more people you have, good minds around you, the better off you are. You can't think of everything. You can't think of every angle. You can't think of all that other stuff. So, just surround yourself with some good, smart people like JJ, like myself, like Beer, and you should be ahead of the curve, according to
interdependence. Interdependence, G-Risen. Interdependence.
That's it too, there, buddy. So, just looking here, being here in Detroit, though, we got to brag a little bit, JJ. We got to get all the NFL trophies we can get. So we did have the Offensive Rookie Player of the Month here for the NFL, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, this dude has been an absolute stud in fantasy so far this month. I mean, yeah, look at his numbers there: 35 receptions, 340, and 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, for a Lion, at least we got a little bit of hope here. So I know you're not a Lions fan. So, what do you think of the Lions? Do you think, with this Dan Campbell situation here, do you think, biting off the kneecaps and all that other stuff is playing out here? Do you think they like him? I mean, as an outsider, what do you think of this Dan Campbell regime? Because we've talked about it quite a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should go without saying. I can't stand the Lions. I can't stand any team in the NFC North not named the Minnesota Vikings. I hope Detroit continues to have 3-win seasons for the next decade. I hope Aaron Rodgers becomes a game show host next year. And I hope Matt Nagy coaches the Bears forever because, I think, if those three things happen, it's going to be Minnesota's division for the next few decades, despite who's playing. But to your point on the Lions, yeah, they beat the Vikings, which was annoying. And look, St. Brown's been incredible. I think, look, I wasn't a big fan of Campbell's decision making in games, especially earlier in the year. I felt like he was single-handedly losing them games because, yes, his team's not like super talented, but they are playing for him. And you got guys like St. Brown that are playing really well. And they've had also the injury bug, which has hit them. DeAndre Swift's been out, which has definitely not helped things. But I think overall, I think the future seems a little brighter than it once did for Detroit next year. But I guess we'll have to play it by ear because, Detroit kind of reminds me of the Browns where, they were bad for like 2 decades. And I can't stress this enough, G-Riz, how difficult it actually is to be that bad for that long, between all the draft picks you get. Like at some point you're going to get one of those darts right. And it's a shame to see the Lions playing so poor. I know that, the Stafford, Calvin Johnson days, they were at least relevant, but hopefully better and brighter future for them starting next season.
Yeah, it's been tough being a Lions fan. I mean, being a Lions fan is, been a lot easier though since we've had the NFL ticket and fantasy sports and DFS and all that, where we didn't get stuck watching that one game that was on TV. I mean, them days sucked, man. But not at this point. At least I can adopt other teams, adopt players that I'm rooting for. But I mean, I'll tell you, being in Detroit for all these years, if the Lions ever get there, JJ, you're going to hear us screaming and hooting and hollering all the way in Minnesota because it'll be like the ultimate nut bust right there, man. I mean, when that happens, we're going to go crazy here. So, I mean, it's such a big football town. We support so many football teams here collegiately. I mean, we got Ann Arbor, East Lansing, Ypsilanti, Mount Pleasant. I mean, all these cities here that are packing 50K plus in their stadiums every weekend. So, I mean, if the Lions can finally do something, I mean, I think this town would be a lot of fun, at least for a little while until, I mean, if they get to the Super Bowl, man, nobody would work on Monday here in this city. I mean, nobody. I think that they'd have to shut the city down, blame COVID or something. But
I think the positive fact for them is that like even the Browns were able to overcome their long sustained woes. Now, granted, they didn't make the Super Bowl or anything, but they were pretty relevant last year, and they're relevant again. I mean, they're dealing with a lot of injuries this year, but it just goes to show you that at some point those draft picks will turn out to be correct. Even if it's lucky, unlucky, however you want to define it. So yeah, I do think that Detroit at some point in the next 3 to 4 years is likely going to be, call it an 8 to 9 win plus season where they sneak in, and that's all you need, right? Because it starts with not losing games by a lot, right? And then it starts with winning close games, and then the next step is you start winning games by a lot of points. And I think that this year specifically, Detroit has taken the next step in terms of losing a lot of close games. So next year, the goal will be to win a lot of these close games, and then you just go forward from there. But it's one step in front of the other.
Yeah, the Lions better look at a cornerback in the draft if we're going to keep up with the Vikings. Because Jefferson, I mean, that kid is a pimp. I mean, that kid is something else, Justin Jefferson. I keep telling everybody he got Joe Burrow paid, and he was the number 1 pick because of Justin Jefferson. But that's for another day, another argument. But I think Jefferson's that good. But either way. Yeah, he's something else, man. And if you guys could keep Dalvin Cook healthy, I mean, what a beginning part of the offense that would be. But speaking of being healthy, I mean, man, it's so hard to keep track anymore. I mean, JJ, we talk on Tuesdays about getting, early looks at NFL spreads, what we like, maybe getting on some things early. But man, it's been so tough here so far this last month, this last 3 weeks to even get on things early because you're afraid that something's going to some kind of news is going to drop that's going to mess up your original thought process. But do you do that now at this point, JJ, these last, few weeks? Have are you normally somebody to hop on, different things you like earlier in the week to get an edge, or have you been waiting it out here these last few weeks?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, like I'll take bowl games as an example. Before last year, I would bet a ton of bowl games, like right at open. My numbers match up. Where do I have 3 to 4 point advantages and just fire? But last year I got bit pretty hard by COVID. Not actually, but with my bets and then, you just get a lot of late scratches too. Like, college is a little different than the NFL with that, of course, but These bowl games have been interesting to try to depict in that end. And the reason why I bring that up relative to your question on the NFL is that, now you're seeing COVID impacts a lot, especially after you would make early bets. CLV is really not what it used to be, at least during a pandemic, it's not. So I think overall, it's just a matter of me having a good handle on who I think is going to play. And I find myself these days making a lot of my bets, believe it or not, G-Risen, on Sunday mornings. I'm not waiting until 11 or 12, but once I get a good handle at 10 a.m., 10:30, that, these are the guys that are going to be on the field. To me, I might lose out on a point or two of CLV, but at least I know where my money's going. I just feel like it's a little bit of Russian roulette betting games early nowadays, especially with all that's going on.
Yeah, I agree with you. It has been so hard. It's just nothing more frustrating than fire. I actually bet on this Spartan game here later today already early, and then I find out Walker was going to be out. That was pretty frustrating. And then, on the other hand, the ball gets batted back over and Pickett's out, and it's like, all right, cool. So you feel a little bit better about it. But, man, you look at some of these line changes in some of these games, like the earlier game today we had with Tennessee and Purdue. That line changed 10 points. It's just unbelievable what's been happening. But as far as the NFL, talking about COVID, Taysom Hill's back off the COVID list. Stevenson's back off the COVID list. Brandon Cooks came off the COVID list here. Penny ended up coming back and practicing a little bit here, so that's good news for him. Mitchell practiced a little bit. He might be able to get in there. Jimmy G did not practice. So it looks like we're going to get some Trey Lance this week. They have not announced him being out yet, but does not look like he's going to play. CEH did not practice, so maybe we'll get a little bit of Williams and some Gore again this week. And then Justin Fields looks like he might get back in there this week. And I think he's just of the three quarterbacks they have over there, I think he's the worst. But either way, Lamar Jackson looks like he's going to get back in there. Your Dalvin Cook had limited practice. Looks like he might get a chance to get in there. Jared Goff here locally did not practice, but was not due to COVID. It was because of his sore knee. And then Connor did not practice either. So might have missed a few here, but if you guys are still in your season-long leagues, good luck. Congratulations. It's been a hell of a ride so far this year. So if you've made it that far, obviously you've been paying attention to the waiver wire. So kudos to you, as we've been saying all season long. Make sure you're in there, getting your hands dirty and picking up players. So good for you there. But JJ, I gotta mention something here before we get into these college games. Now our boy Spencer, he doesn't get a chance to get in front of the camera too often, but he did a little video today about Bart Scott, about his famous interview years ago. So let's check that out. Go ahead, roll that, Spencer.
To all the non-believers.
How did that? To all the non-believers.
Especially you, Tom Jackson.
Way to have our back, Keyshawn.
Anybody can be beat.
So how did that just feel?
Felt great. Poetic justice.
We know we were a much better team than we came up and represented ourselves. And we're pissed off. We was ready to come back and show us what kind of defense, what type of team this was, what kind of character we had. We take a lot of slack.
But we barely made the playoffs. We're a good football team.
The team played a lot of anger today, Bart. Why?
For all the non-believers.
For all you non-believers.
Talk crap about the defense.
Disrespect us.
We're the third best defense in the league.
All we hear is about their defense.
That defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. 25th in the league, and we're the ones who get disrespected.
Well, congratulations.
See you in Pittsburgh.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
That's
awesome. Excellent.
Good job there, Spencer, and to Easy as well. So, hey, we like to get Spencer out there as much as we can. Spencer is a pure treat to be around during the day when we're over there in the studio yucking it up with all the boys. So good job there, Spencer. You can find that on Twitter if you want to see that again. But kudos to you, Spencer. That was awesome. But Spencer's a Sparty fan, JJ. So let's talk about his team here in the Peach Bowl. It's MSU. This line has switched quite a bit here, -3.5, 55.5 up to this point here. JJ, tell all the people here in Sparty land what they want to hear. Do you think the Sparties are going to be victorious today? What are you liking in this game? Anything you're leaning on as far as a bet here in this game?
Yeah, so this is actually, I know you're not going to want to hear this, but this is actually the one game today I did not bet. The main reason I did not bet it is tremendous amount of variance coming into this game, right? Michigan State missing their big back in Walker. and of course Pitt's quarterback not playing. I just think there's a lot of interesting narratives at play, and I think overall, Michigan State's run game is likely to sputter here. This is not a good spot for their rushing attack, and a lot of it's going to have to be on Peyton Thorne. And he could. I mean, he's getting Naylor back, and he obviously has a bunch of his weapons there. I just think it's a tough spot. I think overall look, for me, I love betting these games. I try to bet almost every bowl game. But at some point, player injuries matter. And if player injuries are happening on both squads, you're just kind of making estimated guesses on how much these guys actually mean to a line. And I just think that there's a lot of arrows going in different directions here. I think that, yes, the line moved a bit from open. I think about a touchdown or so in total. But, you could argue maybe it should have moved more. Maybe it should have moved less. I just think overall, I'm a big numbers guy. I handicap with numbers. And I think that once you start losing a lot of stud players, your numbers, they kind of become more player related than actual team related. And it just makes things difficult on my end to cap. So, yeah, I'm staying away. Gun to my head, I'd probably go under the 55.5. But even there, I don't like not getting the best of the number. This number was much higher. But look, if Pickett's worth 7 or 8 points to Pittsburgh, then him being out alone helps the under. And if you argue Michigan State losing Walker is good for 2 or 3 points, I'd argue there's still decent value on this total. Problem is Pitt plays pretty fast. Michigan State doesn't play slow. So, I think overall tempo's going to be fast. You're just kind of hoping offenses don't show up, without their best player on both sides. So, call it a lean in the under. But as far as the sides, I'd love to give you one. I just don't have one. Not at 3.5 anyway.
Yeah, I think this is going to be tough. Obviously, we know Narduzzi, ex-Michigan State coach. He's over there in Pitt. So, I think he's going to have a little motivation to want to beat them. But, I mean, you look at Thorne, you talk about, the Sparty quarterback. He's got 24 touchdown passes. He's one shy of the school record set by Kirk Cousins in 2011. So, I think he's in a pretty good spot to get that today. As you mentioned, Pitt is really good against the run. They're actually top 10 in the NCAA in rushing allowed. And then the Sparty series, I wish they was actually Walker was playing because he's, number 2 in NCAA as far as rushing yards. And to see those two clash, I think that would have been something fun to watch. But, as you mentioned, with these injuries and guys being out, I think, too, when you get some of these bowl teams, I mean, they're going to want to play their freshmen. They want to play their sophomores, see what they got coming in for next year. So I think that does put a little wrinkle in it, too. I like what you're saying about the under, especially with Pickett being out. I think that 55 number is still way too high from what it originally opened at, and I believe that was 63, I think it was. So,
yeah, 63.5.
I mean, literally dropped a touchdown between these two guys. But like you said, you mentioned this line literally moved 7 points, and then it went down the 7.5 points as far as the total there. But with these two best players being out on both sides of the offense, we'll see. I think that it might sputter a little bit. So I do like the under in that one. So we'll see if Thorne gets that record-breaking Sparty touchdown pass here in this first half. I think that's got a pretty good chance, especially with Reed and Naylor. I think that's where they're going to have to get most of their offense from. So,
agreed.
But moving on here, we have one other bowl game here we can look at, and that is another Big Ten team, Wisconsin, facing Arizona State. Wisconsin -7 over under is 42. Now, JJ, this one here just looks like to be a pure Big Ten smash it kind of football game here with these two teams playing. I know they got a few guys out as well. They're going to be missing out for some bowl games. I think ASU's missing 2 of their better defensive players. I think a running back or 2 as well. So what do you think about this game here?
Yeah, I mean, I like the first half under 21.5. I know some books have it 21. FanDuel had 21.5 as of this morning. And again, normally I bet these games super early, but you got to kind of wait to see who's going to actually be playing and who's not. 21.5 just feels like a massive number for this game. I mean, two teams that play far better defense than offense. Arizona State's been one of the best defenses in the Pac-12 all season long. And, you look at Wisconsin, how good they've been defensively all season. It's the best defense in all of college football in terms of yards per play allowed. Overall, I just think this game starts slow. I think the whole game more or less plays like a rock fight. And I think for this spot specifically, I think you're going to see a lot of course, Allen from Wisconsin running the football. And I think that Wisconsin loves to milk the play clock down. Arizona State by no means plays fast at all. I just really don't know where Arizona State's points are going to come from. I would lean, if you're going to bet, I would lean the Wisconsin side. I don't like laying points with a team like Wisconsin anyway. And in a game that's likely to be very low scoring, you'll need a decent game from Mertz, and Mertz has been a huge letdown. I mean, this dude was a 5-star recruit coming in, and he was one of the best, high school quarterbacks to go to Wisconsin. And he has not exactly progressed like people may have thought he could have or should have. But needless to say, it's still a good bowl game for Wisconsin, a game they should win, and a game that likely plays very slow. And the good part with a team like Wisconsin is if they do get a lead, man, they're like an army, they're like an army or a navy. They just love to sit on a lead, and they don't take chances. They'll punt on 4th and 1 inside opponent territory. So yeah, ultimately, I think there's a lot of scripts that this goes out as an under, especially in the first half. The reason why I like the first half is, and I'm sure you can relate to this, G-Risen, is that especially even in NFL, I guess it's been more prominent, but man, points can pile up in second halves of games where teams go into prevent defenses and teams get a little lax with a big lead. I just want to avoid that. And the first half, 21.5, just is a massive number. So yeah, I got that under.
Yeah, I like what you're saying about the unders in the first half. I know you and I just talked about that a little bit ago, but to me, it's like that second half changes, the whole demeanor of a game. A lot of times teams will go in, let's make some changes at half. They're not in any kind of hurry to try to put up points. Like you mentioned, they're not playing risky type football. They're just trying to, it's the first half. There's really no meaning toward the ending of the first half. So a lot of times if I like the under, that's the way I've been going here recently is like you mentioned, especially in some of the other sports like NBA, it's ridiculous. If the game's close, all of a sudden the last couple minutes, you can have 20 some points put up with free throws and everything else, especially like college basketball. But yeah, I do like the first half under in that game. I like what you were saying there, but it should be interesting here, like we mentioned. So I got you here, JJ. A lot of us here, we got the Sparties today. We got Michigan tomorrow, Michigan and Georgia in this big college playoff game here. JJ, just real quick, what do you think about this Michigan game? Everybody knows here I'm a Michigan fan. I'm rooting for Michigan, but do you think our boys got a shot tomorrow?
I do. I do lean the other way, though, in terms of the spread. But my favorite bet for the game, I just have to look at a few more things, but I'm very confident that my favorite bet for the game is going to be over the number of 44.5 or 45, I guess, depends your book. I know two great defenses, and this seems like it would be a rock fight, but these are also two extremely efficient offenses, and they both are very good at pushing a defensive line backwards. They're both very good at running the football, and they're both very good at converting third downs. And I think when you take two good teams that play really well defensively and you match them up against one another, sure, it matters in that sense. But I think a lot of times people look at two defensive teams and they think, oh, well, where are points going to come from? The problem is that on a yards per play, points per play, these two offenses have been really good this year. I know there's question marks about Stetson Bennett and the whole Georgia offense at times, that they've been a little too reliant on their defense. But, man, this team can score, and I think that the Alabama game was an anomaly, especially for how good this team's been this year. So, I look at this from a few different angles, but it'll likely be a fire for me on the over full game, and I'll likely pass on other sides.
Yeah, now here locally, they've been talking about Hill, the best cornerback for Michigan, he did not make the trip as of yet down to Miami. So not quite sure what's going on there. Haven't heard anything as of yet today. So they're going to be without their potential first round draft pick Hill in the backfield there. So yeah, looking forward to that. I'm sure when that game's over, like I said, I'll either be really happy on New Year's Eve or I'll just be happy. But either way, glad my team got there. Always fun to see a local team, especially the Big Ten teams. I mean, except Ohio State, that's the hell with them. I don't care if they ever make it. But, as far as the other Big Ten teams, always fun to see us get in there instead of these SEC teams over and over again. It's just seems to be every year one or two of them teams squeeze in. So glad at least one of us hopped in there. But, JJ, I know you're not too big of an NBA guy. I just want to run through some stuff real quick. And we only got 4 games today, thankfully. Man, the NBA has just been so damn painful with all these injuries and COVID, and try to keep up with these dudes that are coming up from the G League and coming back. And I mean, now we got these injuries with the Cavs tonight with Ricky Rubio is going to be out. They're mixing Sexton still, Garland, Osman. So it looks like Pangios might be a guy in the backcourt that you might be able to look at some cheap plays tonight. And then also here, the Magic are going to be without Hassani Gravett as well. So he was in the health and protocols today. So that's going to leave open quite a bit for Anthony, maybe well, I don't know if Ross is going to be in there or not. Maybe looks like RJ Hampton might get in there today. But man, the NBA has just been so crazy, so tough. Just maybe bring up some other value guys that we can look at, maybe like Will Barton. You got the Joker on the slate today as a pay up. Maybe you could look at Daniel Gafford down there at center. Maybe you could pay up for Giannis today. But Tim Frazier seems like a pretty cheap play for the Magic today. But yeah, if you got any questions or any NBA, you can always hit up me or Beer. And if you got any questions or anything like that, but it's just so tough for us to give you point-on-point NBA action because it just changes so quick. You literally got to sit there all night and pay attention to what's going on. But JJ, we're getting to the time of the show where everybody likes to tune in here. Keep your ear to the ground. It would be our best bet segment. So JJ, you can give them one, you can give them two, you can give them whatever you feel like you want to give them. If it's for today, tomorrow, whatever you feel. What do you got for the people today? And then I'll follow up right behind you.
Yeah, so best bet's going to be first half under 21.5, Wisconsin and Arizona State. Got that FanDuel, New Jersey. I could check. I mean, it was there 2 hours ago. I could check if it's still there. But yes, so I like that. Even if you have to get 21, that's fine. I mean, obviously 21 is a key number, but 21.5 is a really strong play there. First half under Wisconsin. And then, like I said, tomorrow, I haven't bet it yet, but 99.9% will. The over in the Georgia-Michigan game at 45. To me, I capped that quite a few points higher, and at 45, it's just like it almost feels like stealing. And if you mentioned the Michigan corner potentially not being in as well, that helps. I think you have two extremely efficient offenses that you're hearing nothing about, and give you a little fun money on one of the biggest games of the year tomorrow.
Man, we love it. So that sounds good. So JJ, I'm also with you on the under that first half. I like that too. I also like the under in the Sparty game today, if you guys want to put a bet in on that one as well. And then in the NBA tonight, I got one for you. I am going to go with the over in that Philadelphia and Brooklyn game. I don't think there'll be much defense played there. It's already been bumped up 2 points. So don't wait too long. It's already at 222. But I'm going to roll with the over in that Sixers and Nets game. But JJ, before we get out of here, we appreciate you joining us today on the Woodward Bet Show. As I said, if you guys want to check out any of his free videos, as he mentioned, you guys can check him out at his Twitter handle there at Uncle Dunkle, and check him out over there at Runpure Bets. It's a pretty good product over there that they have going. Like I said, they're really transparent on what's going on there. I've learned a lot from JJ over the time, and JJ, we'll be sure to get you on with beer here soon. But JJ, got any last thoughts for the people before we get out of here?
No, look, I hope you all have a healthy and safe New Year. I know it's kind of crazy out there. Feels like, kind of COVID's making its way back into the realm. But yeah, be sure to stay safe, stay healthy, and look, gamble responsibly. I think you have a bunch of big games coming up between bowl games and NFL, and a bunch of call it high leverage games. Just remember, one game is no more important than any other as it relates to a bankroll. So keep yourself gambling responsibly, and profit as best you can.
That's some good info there. So for G-Rise, for JJ, and for Spencer behind the glass, that's going to do it for today's Woodward Bet Show. Have a good New Year, and we will see you tomorrow.